Steven, I'm going to start with you. After being away for so long, but like Ian is such an important character in the series, what was it like for you to kind of get back into that character and interact with lots of familiar faces?
Do you know what? It was just honestly, it was like going home in a way. I mean, I live in London, so getting to go back to Scotland is also literally like going home. But being with Sam again as well, in particular, because the last time I'd been on the show, I hadn't filmed with Sam. I'd filmed with Sophie, so I hadn't actually done any scenes with Sam since, I mean, I don't know, for 6 years or something like that. And actually, I used the analogy before. It was like pulling on an old glove, but actually, it was like literally pulling on an old green sock, as is what I do. I actually couldn't quite remember how I speak though. And in the show, we do, even as the Scottish people, we do a slightly different Scottish accent. And I don't watch the show, but I did something a while ago with one of the fan sites, and I watched some old episodes. And I thought my Scottish accent sounded horrific. I was like, I don't even sound Scottish. So I actually did purposefully this time try and sound a little bit more normal Scottish than as I'd previously sounded. So if anyone notices that, that's why.
Kristen, how were you able to build that chemistry with the cast? We're not in Scotland for very long, unfortunately, but so you didn't have a lot of time, but yeah, how did you build that chemistry with the cast?
Oh,
We
that's all
had
them.
a, we had a
Sorry.
swingers party on the first night, and we all put our keys in a little pot.
Yeah. Never ended up with Steven, despite him being my husband. But no, it's all them. It's such a warm group of people. The crew actually as well as the cast, just everyone right from the get-go. I was really lucky. They made sure that before I was on set, which doesn't always happen, I met Kat and I met Sam, and both of them right off the bat went, "Here are our numbers, swingers party tonight." No. So here are our numbers. Any questions you've got, like, middle of the night, if you suddenly go, "Oh my God, what about my relationship with Sam? Like, oh, when we were kids, what did we, they were so generous with their time and with their kind of, making sure that I felt comfortable. Um, John felt like my son right away. We kind of, I think we've got the same kind of naughtiness. We like to have fun the same kind of way, so we could trade lots of stories right away, even though we'd only just met. Um, and I don't know, it was just it felt like such a gift because it's such a beautifully constructed world. You walk into these beautiful sets. Um, a lot of bits of the acting industry you have to imagine. And instead, I was walking into this fully constructed, beautiful world, peopled with characters I was already in love with because I got to watch, 6 seasons worth of material. I think by the time I arrived, I already felt in love with Stephen and John and Sam and Kat, and it's impossible not to kind of benefit from that. I was lucky, in a way. It's a challenge becoming a character that already exists in the hearts and minds and you know the eyes of the world, but these guys couldn't have been more helpful. I'm really, really grateful.
Despite Galis and Dougal's relationship in the first season, we don't really get to see them together on screen very much. So you guys got that chance this time around. So what was it like to finally have a scene together?
I mean, we've only waited for what, 8 years for that scene. We shot this 2 years ago. So yeah, that was 8 years in the making. And we sure have speculated about how they would have met and what would have happened. We weren't sure that there was ever gonna be this scene, but we were being rumored to come back at some point. So there we were. It was great. It was great. We had great fun. I don't know that I knew that right away. I think only after I said I'd come back, um, did I get to read the scripts. But that was a good few months ahead of shooting. So yeah, yeah, yeah. It was definitely a nice surprise to finally get to play that meeting.
Galis is like a villain, but I don't know, at least for me, she's a fan favorite for me. I mean, she's wacky, but I don't know, in the best way possible. What would you say is your favorite thing about her?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that she gets away with murder. I mean, she's done some pretty terrible things, but yeah, she seems to get away with it. Also, I think she comes from a place of really believing in the cause and that everything needs to sort of, happen just for the cause, and that she's just a very passionate person. She's a rebel, and I think she's a free-spirited person, and I think she recognizes that in Dougal when they meet. So yeah, I think that's a spark that happens in that moment because they recognize that same sort of wickedness in a way.